All
Getting
right.
back to work.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're calling in from. This is Jay Scott, Crypto Cowboy.
Hey, Sandy, Freedom Faith Warrior here.
All right. How you doing, everybody? Let's get ready to do some truth bomb. All right. All right. What's going on? How was your weekend?
Hey, hey, it was good. Good, good. I mean, it was July 4th. I hope you all celebrated our independence from, I don't know, something way back, 1776, something like that.
Way
Uh,
back.
if you were to ask people and poll them what July 4th is about, they don't even know who we're independent from.
Oh my
I
gosh.
it is crazy. If you were to say, who did we win independence from? Half of the people wouldn't even know. What do you mean? They'd be like, our independence, our freedom. We're celebrating our freedom. And it's like, freedom from what and who? So
I watched watch an old movie last night. Literally, I was searching around for something. I couldn't find anything to watch, and I came across The Patriot by Mel Gibson. It was
that's a
2000,
good one.
and it was all about the Revolutionary War against England and the
It was
King,
England. Ding, ding,
King,
ding, you
King,
win.
King George. Yeah, and it was really good. It was funny. I know I'd seen it before, but it'd been a
Yeah,
long
and it was
time.
about taxes. It was about land. It was about titles. It was about all those things that the people here who were, sending back the products back to England felt like they were being not compensated for correctly. They weren't given the right titles or whatever. And so that's why that all happened. But you'd have to like dig into actual history to understand that.
No, it's
What's
fascinating.
funny? I watch Outlander. Have you ever
Oh,
watched Outlander?
yeah. Hmm.
So Outlander is actually very historical. Outlander goes from Scottish history into American history, which is really kind of cool that she wrote this fictitious tale of these two people spanning Scotland, England to here. And I think it's fascinating how she tied it all in. But you can actually learn a lot of history from that.
Well, and it's these,
Which
it's sci-fi ish or whatever because they're going back in time, right? They're going back in different
well,
time,
right. She goes through the stones. You go to
right?
the
And she goes
stones.
back in time to like her
She went 200 years back.
ancestry,
Yeah.
yeah, and then comes back, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I find just since we're on that topic, and I just watched that movie, one thing that again hit me was how this ragtag bunch of farmers and peasants in the colonies were able to defeat the most powerful military force in the world at the time, England, the British forces. And in this movie, it was interesting because he leads like a ragtag militia in South Carolina, and you had sort of the Continental Army that George Washington was kind of forming together,
Right.
mainly in the North, and it started off just with the farmers, whatever, but they enrolled into the regular army. But then you had all these independent militias, especially down in the southern states, that were fighting for the same cause, but were not really. They didn't have uniforms, they didn't have weapons, but they grouped together, and so this militia that Mel Gibson led, was really good fighting force, and eventually joined the Continental Army. But yeah, a ragtag group of farmers and colonists that had
Right.
not a lot of military
Well,
training.
they
Wow.
well, some of them did though. Some of
Some of
them
them fought
did.
in the
Some of
British and
them
Indian,
did.
or the French and Indian
Exactly.
War. They
Exactly.
fought for
They came
Britain,
over. Right.
and then
They fought for Britain.
yeah, they
Hmm.
fought for Britain, and then came over. So, but it was, yeah, and so some of the leaders like George Washington, some of the colonels and leaders, but most of the regular men were just farmers, and
Right.
that to me is fascinating because that really shows that if you have a cause and you come together, what you can achieve.
Right. Right. They just wanted independence from the trees, the tyranny, the tyranny. And so we're going to talk about that. That blends in well with what we're going to talk about today about presidential immunities.
Yeah, yeah.
George Washington being our first president, just think about that. I mean, anything he did, could he get charged in a criminal court of law
Oh,
over anything he did in
yes.
those murders or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
So really, um, there was the Supreme Court met yet last week, which of course I'm sure everybody knows about at this point in time if they follow any type of news. The problem is that they're making it seem like it's slanted towards one president, just one. Okay, no, this is presidential immunity across the board. So it's for all the presidents. If something happens with Biden right now and he does something, it gives him immunity. I mean, I think that that's what they ruled on. They weren't ruling on one president who happened to just be uh, criminally, convicted for 34 counts, which we know who that is, right? So that's what I want to talk about today. Why do we pick on the one president and not all of them? Because President Bush, President Obama, I mean, they could have been brought up with charges of war, right? Like 9/11 happened under Bush. I mean, he could have been brought up with charges on how he responded to that against other countries, right? That's what when you open this can of saying no, they shouldn't get immunity, well then how far do we go back? Like, do we start going back to the prior presidents and saying, oh, well, they don't have immunity, so now we can charge them with actual crimes? um,
Do you have
so I just want to dig down into that, what that means, because I
yes.
think
Let's
what is being portrayed or perceived, or even newscasters that have no idea what they're talking about, what they're saying about how this affects, uh, this the last president. So I just want to talk about it because I feel like it's always easily skewed, so easily skewed. So now I'm going to put up a mainstream media on here, CNN, of course. Um, so this is how they wrote this article. Major ruling. The Supreme Court ruled Monday that Donald Trump may claim immunity from criminal prosecution for some of the actions he took as president, in a decision that will likely further delay a trial on the federal election subversion charges against him. The decision was 6-3 with the liberals in dissent. Okay, so is that what they ruled on? That it was about Trump, or were they just doing it on presidential immunity? Is the question. The ruling rejects a decision from federal appeals that found Trump enjoyed no immunity for alleged crimes he committed during his presidency to reverse the 2020 election results. The decision says presidents have immunity for official acts, but not all acts are official, and the lower courts must decide which acts qualify for each. Trump called the decision a big win. Now,
bigly.
yeah. So, the former president is juggling 4 criminal cases while battling President Joe Biden to reclaim the White House. He faces a sentencing hearing next week in his hush money case. Now, he doesn't get immunity from that, but what they're saying is that he does get immunity from some of the uh, evidence that they brought into the trial, because it should have fallen under his immunity, because they were just trying to build a character of him during his presidency, and that's the evidence that they were talking about. So I don't think people understand that. I mean, I don't think, what he did was wrong. like I am not in any agreement on what this man did. Um, with this, porn star. I mean, I don't know about you, but I kind of watched her. She had on Netflix or one of those streaming things. She did have a documentary about it. Um, and I watched it, and I felt kind of bad for her, honestly, because she she got paid, but she didn't actually get the money. Did you know that?
No.
Her boyfriend took her money,
Oh,
took
jeez.
the money, and the lawyers took the money. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy what happened to her. But again, it's all in choices, right? Like, so we all make our own choices to do what we do or don't do. And, you know, now she's kind of claiming victimhood again, which in the documentary she kind of didn't. It was kind of weird. She kind of made herself like, yeah, this happened to her. So, I don't think that the president did the right thing in any way. I don't think that he did the right thing in anything to do with her. But you know what? We all have skeletons. They all jump out, and it sure did. I mean, I'm sorry. What president doesn't have a skeleton that jumped out?
Hmm.
Okay. So, I mean, even if we go back to Kennedy, everybody, the beloved Kennedy,
Right.
he had some skeletons, um, the beloved, Bill Clinton, he definitely had some skeletons, right? So, if you're gonna, that's the problem is our media, chooses to slant everything the way they want it because they want you to view it that way and they want you to vote a certain way, right?
Right.
So that's why they slant it. I mean, they're slanting it for a purpose. It's for propaganda and persuasion and propaganda, like we talk about all the time. So, um, so now what does this have to do with Biden? How is that? Well, we had a debate and Biden didn't do so well. Apparently he had a cold and jet lag. So so
Right.
they're saying that this was kind of good, that it changed the conversation away from him and his debate, which we'll talk about some other time.
Yeah.
Uh, not today, but I'm just wanting to bring up that I'm looking at different news sources that are mainstream. Um, and I'm sorry, I apologize for that. Um, so, what is presidential immunity?
Yeah.
You
I think
know,
that's a good question to unpack that really.
what
Eh,
is presidential immunity?
Can we, before we go on,
And
before or as we go,
Mhm.
as we define it, I think what's really interesting about this thing is that it appears to me the way that the press sort of portrayed it, and if you casually glance at this issue, topic,
Mhm.
headline, you will think, oh, well, now he has immunity for everything, and that all presidents
No,
have immunity. So I think it's a little more complicated than that. I don't really know, but let's just unpack this. In this
okay,
particular case, what the Supreme Court said was is that they don't want to rule on specifically what is or isn't a crime in this particular case. And what they were saying is that it's going to be bumped down to a lower court to make well, they basically said that if it's if during his the president if during office he does something that's officially presidential but
hmm
maybe a crime, or maybe some people think it's a crime, you will be immune from that forever, I guess. And so,
right,
but there are things that even though you're in office that may be non-presidential, and those things you still can be tried for. And so
right,
but they're going to leave that up to the lower court in this particular case for Trump. So
and
to me,
right,
it's like, okay, just breaking this down even further. So, he had sex with a porn star allegedly, and there were payments made to Stormy Daniels as hush money to quiet her down. And
right.
that's what that case was about. That this was hush money.
Yeah,
Uh,
they did
so
it before his election. Yeah,
so if it was
during
before
his
the
yeah.
election, if it was during the campaign or whatever,
Mhm.
was that part of presidential? I don't think
Well,
so.
what they're saying, this is what they're saying. Trump does not claim immunity from the actual 34 counts of falsifying business records, but instead has zeroed in on a trial evidence used to prove those counts. The former president contends the jury's verdict must be tossed out because some evidence shown to jurors is now inadmissible under the Supreme Court's new test, because
Right.
it was people during his presidential time that were
Right.
bringing in evidence to support him falsifying those records. Okay. So
So it's
it's saying
tangled
in the
now.
Supreme, yeah,
That has to get
that most of,
untangled in that lower court for Trump
right, most of
specifically.
president's public communications are likely to fall comfortably within his official responsibilities. So there we're talking about emails and correspondence during the time that he was president, which wasn't exactly to do with that exact situation. They were just
Mm,
doing a character evidence,
okay.
to bring up that he would falsify the records because of some situations, right? So there may, however, be contexts in which the president, notwithstanding the prominence of his position, speaks in an unofficial capacity, perhaps as a candidate for office or party leader. So before he was actually elected, those are the things that he's not immune from. So, and other evidence is in question includes a call between Trump and Cohen while Trump was president.
Right.
So again, that's where it gets
Yeah.
sketchy,
It's sketchy,
you
it's
know,
sticky, and it's, I mean, they're going to have to figure that out in
not
lower
good.
court. But I guess the thing that we really want to focus on here is, okay, what does the Supreme Court decision mean for past presidents and future presidents now? And if we can just, maybe going forward, we can just define, okay, what that ruling says is that if you're in the office and you do something that is considered part of presidential, but it may be illegal or bad or causing a lot of deaths,
Yeah.
can
I mean, he
you?
falsified private business records to pay off a porn star, and it won't fall within the outer parameters of official presidential duties, which is the truth. So, will he get charged with that? Probably. I mean, let's be honest. And I don't want to make it all about him anyway. So,
Well, that's what I was saying. Let's just get that out of the way, kind of the Trump part out of the way,
right,
because the bigger issue here is
right.
that what the Supreme Court says is you, as a president, if it can be defined as presidential, you are immune. What does that mean for future presidents? I mean, we can speculate about the past, but what does it mean for future presidents that now have a
Well,
potential green light to do whatever they want to
what it
do?
does what it does mean for him personally is now remember, the election fraud case that's still in the works. It could affect that,
Okay.
because he was still president. Then it also could affect the, January 6th thing, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
then he gets immunity for that maybe. So, it does affect him personally with other cases, not with this one particular, and they just keep focusing on the wrong thing, I feel like that's what our media does. They always focus on the wrong thing, you know.
Right.
If they really wanted us to have unity in this country, we would focus on the right things. And what would be the right things? Do you think, Scott, as far as presidential elections, voting, etc.? What would be the right
Well,
things?
are you talking about specifically on immunity or? Well, yeah. I mean that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean now if I guess I get confused a little bit. Like, if is this the final word on whether a president can be held liable for crimes while he's in office? And if that's so if that's the case, which I believe it is, that's
Yes.
huge. I mean that's
It's
like
a precedence because lawyers win cases with other cases being judged and determined, right? So lawyers bring in past cases where
right,
the plaintiff or the defendant has won on that other case, that won in a jury. So they bring in those cases to say, well, in this case, it was ruled upon because of this and this and this, and they give the evidence on why it was ruled that way and why this case
right.
is like that case. So if they do this and they continue to do this, yes, then that's when a defense will always bring in past cases
Yeah,
where it was
this
won.
is sets the precedence for the
It
future.
sets
And
it
so
for the
just
whole
cutting to the
thing.
chase, I think is okay.
Mhm.
What this tells me that anybody that's going to be president from now on knows in their mind that if there's something, controversial, which I'm guessing pretty much everything that comes across the desk of a president could be I'm going to say confidential, but controversial. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we have no clue about that come across his desk or whatever. But
Right.
in the president's mind, I would think they've got to be thinking if something is really shady and could come back on them where they could get thrown in jail or whatever for the rest of their life. Maybe that is making them think twice about maybe some of the actions they do. But now, if they know
If they can cognitively think.
if they can, but now they
Sorry.
don't have to worry about that at all because they know that if it's presidential,
Yeah,
they will never be immune for that. They may then do things that are terrible, horrible things or sketchy things where before they might have paused, now there's no pausing because they know they're not going to be
it
convicted.
reminds me of that. It reminds me of that saying, ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Right.
Like like when people do things, like I'll ask for forgiveness
Later,
later
later. Yeah.
instead of permission. And that to me is so shady. When people say that, I go, that
Right.
means you know that you're about to do something not ethical
Right.
or not within the bounds of
Yeah.
permission.
Yeah, you're just
So,
you're gonna do it one way or the other, and then you're gonna figure it out, and that's kind of goes against my
oh, people
ethos. It's
people
like,
that say that when they throw that at me, I go, all right, I got your number. Yep,
right,
I
I got
got
your
your number.
number because I mean, and there are a lot of people like this, especially in business. If you ever take like I don't know, like a motivational speech or a class or whatever, a lot of times in business they're like, you've got to act. Acting is the only way to get ahead in life. You've got to push forward and act or whatever. And I've learned throughout my life as an entrepreneur and a businessman. I'm not really built that way. I'm a thinker and I'm an observer and I'm going to study something first before I make a decision. But I always
Yeah,
felt
not
guilt.
me.
I felt guilty about that. I felt guilty like, it's like, oh, I should be charging ahead, and worrying about the consequences later because only, hard chargers get ahead. And I just realized later in my life, it's like, you know what? This is my style. I'm going to embrace it. And my style is to kind of observe and watch and see and study and then make a decision and go forward. I was just
Right.
thinking about this the other day. And it's sort of the same thing. It's like now with this, back to this presidential immunity, it's like whatever style you are, it's like you can just go ahead and do stuff and you'll figure it out later and you're not going to go to jail, as long as you can prove that it's presidential. I think
Well,
this is a
look at
huge,
all the
huge
things.
precedent.
What I mean, there's so many things that are classified. They declassified documents to show it as evidence in this case, which I think there should be a ruling about that, right? Like, I don't think you can just at your whim declassify something because you want to use it against someone. Like,
Oh,
I don't
wow, yeah.
think that that is a good way to do it either. I can't believe that there's not a ruling on that,
Yeah.
but there isn't.
Wow.
Really, you're just going to now use a classified document that, oh, we're going to declassify it just
Right.
to use it against this
Well,
person.
that's interesting
I,
because that a
mhm.
lot of people are really, if you are on the right, you're really blaming the people on the left now, in the Biden administration of using
And I
all
want you
sorts
all
of
to know
these.
I'm not defending this
They're using
thing.
all these political, tactics to put, Donald Trump in jail, basically. And so if you're on the right or maybe even in the middle, you're saying, how dare they politicize this? And they're doing everything they just want him out of the race. So they're using all of their power,
Right.
that we all don't have
And
that
that's
they
wrong.
have
That's
to
wrong.
put this guy in jail, and so the people on the right will say, yeah, Trump maybe did this or everything, but this isn't a kind of a crime that really should be have a guy put in jail. I don't know one way or the other. What I tell people that really push on that is I said, you know what? The Republicans or the people on the right, if they were in power, they would do the same thing. I just think
Well, that's the
politics
problem.
is ugly
Right.
that way.
And that's why I'm a moderate too. Is like I think it's wrong on either party.
Yeah.
Like I don't care who's in office or who it is. That is wrong how they are using their power, exactly what you're saying. but they talk about, well, he falsified the business thing and paid off somebody, so that's a precedent of his character, of what he would do in office. And I'm like, it's so crazy to me, because I listen to people's narratives right now about what he's going to do if he gets in office. He's going to be a dictator or this and that. And I'm like, do y'all not remember he was in office and he didn't do those things?
Right.
Or, I mean, I'm not, did you have amnesia during that time? Or,
Right.
I don't recall him doing any of those things then,
Right.
but yet he's now going to do it now. Like why would he change his mind on what, I mean, he's going back to the exact same things he said he was going to do the last time. He's not changed the narrative of that. So if I'm looking at that, I'm going, that doesn't even make sense what you're saying. So, I mean, they're just trying to, I mean, it just makes me
There's a lot
crazy.
of
Anyway,
power
I mean,
behind
because
not
look at
getting
what we
him
did.
in.
We just paid off. Okay, talk about business dealings and paying off people. We paid off Iran in an official way. We
When?
paid them right before the Gaza thing in October. We gave them money. Why? Why did we give them money? I think you all should go look at that. Okay. So what I'm saying is, there are business dealings of us paying off other countries on the record,
Oh God.
and
Yeah.
if you're going to use that as like a scale, I mean, he gave the woman $130,000, which is nothing, and it is a drop in the bucket for those people. We just gave Iran how many million,
Which is weird.
It's like,
That would be counterintuitive because they're kind of our enemy. I don't understand why we give them money, but then again, weird stuff
well,
happens.
there was a reason. Yeah, there was some reasons. And that's how we've dealt with countries politically for a long time.
Saudi Arabia. I
Okay,
mean,
we
we
allow trading with you, we allow this, and we're going to give you money, and you're going to, use our goods, and you're going to use our currency, blah, blah, blah. Well, you see what's happening with our currency, which I know you are watching that very closely, Scott. Um,
Well,
you know,
that makes me think of Saudi Arabia. Like when Nixon took us off the gold standard and we became this fiat dollar backed by nothing, then it became, they said, hey, look, we're going to, Saudi Arabia, we want you to back this and buy everything buy, everybody buy oil from Saudi Arabia in dollars. And there was that pact made. And so there's these kind of deals all the time. We'll give you
yeah,
weapons, we'll protect you, but make sure that you
right,
only use U.S. dollars to
right,
sell your oil. And yeah, so this
right.
happens
Look what's
all
happened
the
with
time.
that.
And
Our currency's done, and now the yen is in. So,
yeah,
China is taking the lead, and everybody better watch out. That's all I gotta say. I mean, it's insane. It's insane what's happening. So going back to this immunity, President, it said on here, it talked about President Nixon, in his presidential immunity with the Watergate thing, right?
yeah.
Like,
What did it say
like
about that? That's an
what I'm
interesting
saying
comparison.
is you need to look into that. I'm not going to go into it because I didn't research it terribly. Because I mean, I know about Watergate. I know what happened. Um,
Well,
you know,
that's a very good comparison because um, just from what I know about it, I mean, he again he resigned because if he didn't, it's very possible that he could have gone to jail or he could have been, because
right,
he or somebody on his team or whatever broke into the opposition's, offices to steal information for the campaign, and they got
right,
caught. They got caught,
yeah,
and so, and there was a lot of stuff going on about it. But yeah, that's a really
right.
good example of a president doing some stuff. Now that to me, it's pretty official. Like they were trying to find information on the opposition so they could beat them in the upcoming campaign. But I suppose some lawyer could, argue, and this will be the.
I feel bad for Nixon actually. I mean,
Oh,
I
why?
feel like he got well, because he knew, but he didn't know. I mean,
Well, I
there
mean, I
were
suppose
things he knew,
that's always
but
going
there's
to be
some
up for
things he
debate.
didn't know.
That's
Yeah,
always going to be
that's
up for
true.
debate. But
I know.
I don't. I think that he did know,
I feel
and
bad
that,
for him.
I don't feel bad for him.
That's how I roll. I feel bad for people,
He took us
when they
off the
have.
he took us off the gold standard and really
Yeah, that
ruined
was
our
not
whole
good.
economy. And he thought he was doing
Yeah.
the right thing at the time. I get it. In
Well,
fact,
just like FDR.
anybody would have had to probably do it. But it started us now on this fiat currency, and now we can just print and borrow money, and our economy is
It's
doomed
insane.
really unless we go back to the gold
Trillions.
standard.
Trillions. We're giving
Yeah.
away trillions of monopoly money. I don't understand
It's
it.
just monopoly money now when you're talking about
It's
trillions.
monopoly money.
I've seen this.
It doesn't even
If
have.
you look what a trillion is, like when they stack this up, they like stack dots or dollar bills. I mean, a trillion. I wish I could always remember this. It's like if you could stack dollar bills on top of each other, it would go to the moon and back like 10 times, something like that. I don't know if that's exactly it, but a trillion is so much, and now we're into the multi trillions in debt. Oh my gosh.
So what we talk about, the reason we talk about this stuff in Freedom Life 3.0 is because we want y'all to wake up to okay, we could get obsessed with the presidential immunity, all of these court cases, all of this and that. Now, how does it affect you personally? Well, it would definitely affect the way you would vote, right? Like it would definitely affect that. But then comes into question. So then we go to the next level because I do the 3 levels up. Then we go to the next level. You put your vote in. Is it really being counted? Okay, that's the next question. And then who is really electing? The electoral college is the one who does it anyway. So you're like, do I really have a say? Because I'm not really sure. I'm not positive that
Right.
my vote actually does count. And if you notice, that is the way they advertise everything. Your vote counts. Well, why would they have to tell me that? Nah, I'm serious. Why?
I don't know. It just sounds like I don't know. It's like
Your vote counts.
their vote
Well,
counts. Does it really? Okay,
it
prove
sounds
it.
like they're trying to convince us of that. Maybe.
Right.
I don't know. So I don't
Right.
know. I think sometimes we need to look a little deeper into that. And okay, say your vote counts, guy you like wins, whatever. How does that affect you personally? Like, what is it in your life that it's going to change?
I just
Well,
turn the TV
tell
off, and
you,
then I'm
I
like,
tell you, it will affect you. Like, if one party, whoever they are, the interest rates, the economy, the grocery prices, the all of this is different than if this guy wins. Why is that? Why is that? How can that be if it's the same government that has the same Congress, that has the same Senate, or is the same House? How how is that effective? Like what? How is it that that party is actually affecting that?
I personally don't
I
think it
want us to.
does. I think it's the
Exactly.
media. The media affects us on what they
We
say.
have a perception of. That's exactly where I was going with that, Scott. There's a perception that that's what changes, but does it really? I mean, does it really? I mean, since COVID, I'm just going to be honest here. COVID changed everything. COVID was our reset of our economy. And if you don't believe it, just remember the toilet paper wars and go back to that where it started. It started with that, and our economy changed drastically. Now, one party was in there. So it
For part of it,
definitely
and then the
wasn't.
other party was in it for the other half, and that's what it's like. Nothing really
Do
changed. I mean,
y'all
COVID.
not remember this?
Yeah,
Like our economy started, the prices started to inflate at that point. And I think that was purposeful. I think that that was our reset. So they reset everything. They reset the rules. They reset everything. Our rights, our everything.
yeah. No,
And
you're
and
right.
so I want you guys to like look further into that. So okay, presidential immunity, all this and that, whatever. What is really going on? Like what is happening? And what is it that we can do about it? Is my question. I mean, we obviously a revolt's not going to happen, obviously, because it would have happened by now. I'll tell you that. Everybody's talking
A
about, oh,
revolution,
well, there's a this and that and the other, and I'm like, no,
civil war,
you know, yeah.
civil war, revolution. I actually read a headline that said it came out from a right wing a group, basically the head of the group, and he said there will be a, what's the word? I think he said American Revolution, and it will be bloodless if the left allows it. Whoa, that was an interesting statement, and but he basically saying, look, Trump's coming in here, and we're going to just rewrite and revamp everything, blah blah blah. We're going to do this whole big, it's a revolution, and you
Well,
all need to let it happen. Don't fight us on this or whatever. And that's
well,
to your
see, that's
point.
what's sad.
Will it
That's
really?
what's so sad is people have an expectation that somehow it's going to drastically change.
Right.
And I hate to tell you, you are going to be sadly disappointed because he is not, one man cannot go in there and change this whole thing. I mean, this system is in motion. It's always been in motion, and it's not been for the people.
It hasn't,
I hate to
and
tell you.
it's above them. That's just to bring that to. It's like my belief is, it's the global elite, it's the technocracy, it's whatever you want to call that, sort of above
Wherever they are.
politics, above local politics or national politics.
Right.
It happens across the world. Yeah, there's a lot of little influences that the president and the administration can have, but overall, things, the economy's kind of do its thing, and yeah, the president can pull some levers, or the administration, but
Yeah.
overall,
I
it's not
can
going to
save
change
30
that much.
cents per gallon.
If you
Maybe.
just shut the TV off, I'm telling you, if you shut the TV off and you never watch or read any mainstream media, you wouldn't notice that anything would change. It's by watching the media and listening to the media that it appears to be changed, because that's what the narrative is, that then the media just is their puppet. Don't watch, if you didn't watch any media, like if we could literally just not have any media, go back to the caveman days or whatever, you wouldn't feel it. I mean, there would be
Well,
things, economy would go up and down and stuff, but the administration, Republic, Democrat, whatever, in the office doesn't have that big of an impact. And, that goes against the grain of a lot of people, because they're so locked into their side. No, if the Democrats get in, we can make a change. No, if the right gets in, we'll have an American revolution. Good luck, No.
Okay, so just think about it. Your local newscaster makes money on news, right? If you don't have any news to talk about,
Juicy news,
you
headlines,
don't have
and crazy
you don't
shit.
have any, exactly. Then you won't have any. You won't have an
That's the
income.
way it's set up. That's the way it's set up, and it didn't used to be that way.
And those communication companies and those cable companies,
They're all corporations. What are the corporation?
Hopefully we'll talk about this on our next episode, but I just want to bring this up. How I had a little, email come up going, now you can get a medical practitioner on Amazon, right? And
Yeah,
I'm
I saw that too.
Are you serious? Like
No.
now I can go to Amazon for my
Corporations.
medical needs too. So I can get groceries from that. I can get everything from Amazon. So,
It's the
so why
future.
have any other?
That sounds like the Jetsons or whatever. That's like
What?
corporations, owning everything.
Let me call in my Amazon practitioner. Hold on. Like,
So
are you
Amazon
kidding?
practitioner, I can get insurance. I can get, medicine.
All of it.
They can get
Yeah.
a doctor, a teledoctor, or whatever. What else? Let's
Yep.
just keep speculating. What else can they do? We can do
Can they come
money.
to my house and do repairs on my car? I mean, that'll be nice,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I found out the other day that I had swollen lug nuts, which of course I never knew what swollen lug
lug
nuts
nuts.
were. But guess where they told me to go get them? From Amazon.
Swollen
Go to-
lug nuts. I don't know. That
Yeah.
sounds like a personal problem, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can get it fixed at Amazon.
Fix it. I know. I can buy the lug nuts from Amazon. So
Swap them
just letting you
swollen
know.
lug nuts
The
out. Come on.
gorilla lug nuts. I guess that was the one that is the best one or something. The gorilla kind. Just letting y'all know.
I just think that that's going to
So,
be the keyword of this show. Swollen lug nuts. Google's going to pick that up. We're going to get some really
uh,
crazy stuff connected to the show.
sorry, sorry. The only time I could ever say I had swollen nuts. But anyway.
Believe me, it's not
So,
fun.
oh, I don't know. I would not know.
Okay.
I do because it was going to cost me $80 for them to do it. I
All
was
right.
like,
Well,
$80? Are you kidding?
Amazon to the
To change
rescue.
them out? Amazon to the rescue, $25.
All
So
right.
there you go. But that's what I mean. We are in a time period where everything is accessible, but what if one glitch happens? One glitch.
Glitch in the
It
matrix.
only takes one. Only takes one glitch. You will be SOL
Right. If you're
for
Amazon.
sure.
Well,
So
the
you have to
glitch,
start thinking,
COVID,
yeah,
was an interesting glitch, right? So everything shut down. And actually,
everything.
Amazon came to the rescue. Amazon made billions during COVID
So
because
I was able to
people
buy margaritas.
on Amazon.
No, during COVID, I was able
Oh,
to
so
go
they
to
got
a
them
Mexican
delivered?
restaurant. Yeah, get me
Yeah.
some margaritas.
But that was an interesting reset. Like you said, you can get margaritas, you get things delivered that you never thought you could get delivered before. Amazon was selling stuff that, they weren't the
That's
leader in.
when everyone raised their prices on food.
Well, it's because prices went up.
Everyone.
Yeah. I mean, to make
Why?
the
Why
food,
did they go up? Why?
logistics. Yeah. Oh, so come on, spill the conspiracy
Baloney.
theory, Sandy.
Baloney.
Just because
Baloney.
it wasn't because they lost their staff and because of trucks wouldn't run and they couldn't get deliveries. What do you think? They
Why
just
would trucks not be able to run because of COVID?
because they could. I don't know. They shut everything down.
They did not.
Did the
Did
trucks
you see trucks on
run?
the Did you see trucks on the road? I did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Come on, keep spilling it.
No, I just
No, come
think
on.
back. No,
So
I mean think about it. They didn't stop ships. They didn't stop deliveries. They didn't stop anything. Your UPS guy, did he ever get COVID?
oh, and grocery store clerks didn't get it.
Hmm, interesting.
They were
Hmm.
essential. They were
They
essential.
were considered essential. Why
Well,
were they essential?
the toilet paper guy should have been essential. Obviously, he wasn't working.
They shut down factories to make extra toilet paper. That blows my dang mind. And they shut other factories down to make hand sanitizer. Are you kidding me now?
Are you kidding me now? And
Are you kidding me
they
now?
turned car manufacturers into ventilator manufacturers. There was a lot of weird
Right.
shit that went on, man. You're right. It just was a total reset, and
It was a
everything was
reset.
like up. So I don't know. I love to play off on you're a teaser. Sorry, but it's like you like to throw stuff out there, and it's like, well, why did prices go up? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me know. Give me a
Why?
hint.
Why? Why?
They just,
Why did they go up? It was
yeah,
still
well,
cost us. Okay. They're okay. If you understand logistics of trucking companies, container companies, when they did the shutdown, there were already ships in motion on the way to the shores with all of the stuff, the products.
mhm.
Okay. It didn't stop, but they made it seem like it stopped.
Who's they?
And then all these containers started to build up at all of the terminals. All of them started to build up. They stopped the industry on purpose. Just think about it. They did.
Yeah, I remember that when all that,
They
and then
did it to
afterwards, all that
reset
inventory was just
the
stuck.
prices. They did it to reset the prices because supply and demand, supply the S&D, supply and
S and
demand.
D. Yeah.
They're going to make it seem like we were low on the supply and high on the demand. And that's when they can get you in inflating your prices.
Yeah. So corporate. So
And that was bull. That was
yeah.
bull.
So corporate corporate interests could raise prices and make more money. They use government. So, uh,
Yeah, those
I,
those ships did not stop midstream in the Atlantic because COVID. You
right.
cannot tell me they turned the ship around and went back to their port. You can't tell me the trucks stopped going because they didn't. Remember the truckers in Canada that did like a
Yeah.
little thing up
And
there?
then,
We
and then
won't
Canada
call it whatever it was.
shut down their bank
What
accounts.
how did those truckers have their trucks full of stuff? I don't know. It didn't stop. Supply and demand did not stop. They just were able to reset all of our prices to make it
Mm.
seem like we were running out of things when we were not.
Well,
There's no way.
yeah. I wonder when
I
they're
mean,
gonna when the
there's
next.
there are big, huge cargo, you know, tanks here, and they're just lined up for miles, miles and miles, stacked up to the heights. A terminal here. I can see how many things are sitting there waiting for it to be inspected or checked or whatever they do, passing customs or whatever. So you have to think of those things. Like they did not stop that stuff. What they did is they made it an illusion that somehow we were out of those things.
Well, never bypass a good crisis to exploit. I don't know. I butchered that, but that's like a
Exactly.
quote. It's like, and through COVID was massive. Things were exploited all over the place, because it was a made up crisis or a pandemic or whatever you want to
Everybody
call it.
became a life coach at that time too. Remember that?
I really thought,
everybody
well,
everybody had time at home to formulate their new
right.
program to launch to you because they were all life coaches that we like threw stones at practically.
I
Like
thought,
I had
well,
launched my life coaching business right
right. Well,
then. I was like,
we thought we
woo.
were both life coaches at the time. We thought, oh man, we're gonna make a killing now or whatever. And all I know is I bought a million other courses. I think I bought everybody's course that when I bought it. Uh, I'm addicted, and yeah, nobody bought mine. Well, I guess I would have helped if I would have published it, but
He's
yeah.
got a great course, by the way. I really, really love that book. Really do.
Oh, my book, yeah, Be the Hero
He's
of Your
got
Life.
Be the Hero. He has got a great book. You can write. I what I like about it because I'm a writer in books, and people don't like to write in their books, but I do.
Yeah.
So even in pencil, if you're like weird and you just want to do it in pencil and erase it later because you want to give it away, I mean that's one thing. But he's got a little section after every chapter that asks a question, and I love books like that.
And you can
So
and little lines that you can write right in your book if you like
you
to do
need.
that.
I hope you're doing that for your Bitcoin because that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm creating a course about crypto,
Yeah.
for sure, and I think just the way, like in that book, I think the way that you would learn, this was more about understanding yourself through
Yeah.
metaphor of hero's journey, but you write down just in crypto. I teach people, you got to actually do it. You got to log into the system and actually get your hands, dirty is what I say. And a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
they can learn about crypto and understand it, and you do, but you don't really understand it until you do it. So I teach people how to do it, and that's the scariest part because it's like I'm in the class right now, and a lot of people, like the instructor, talked about, yeah, you buy your crypto on an exchange, and then you transfer it here and there, and but he didn't really show, like they didn't do it, they didn't actually hands on, and when people started to do it, they were like, but now I have this screen. What do I do? I was like, oh, now what do I do? And the poor instructor was like, oh my god, But you have to actually get people to do it. And until they do it, they don't know. And I don't know,
Right.
like on that tangent, but somehow we can bring it all back.
Well,
But
the hero's journey, um, I have read in the foreword of many different books. A book I sent you yesterday mentioned the hero's journey in it, John Campbell and the hero's
hmm
journey. And people really do, you know, they're either talking about Napoleon Hill or John Campbell. So you're either a hero
Joseph Campbell.
or,
But yeah,
I mean, Joseph Campbell. Sorry. Joseph Campbell. Sorry, Joseph.
sorry,
I mean, I
Joseph.
know he's not around
But yeah,
anymore,
you're right.
but
Napoleon Hill. Um,
Napoleon Hill Or,
Joseph
there's
Campbell.
some great authors out there, Brene Brown, there's so many that you can look into. But that's what I mean. But it's self-discovery, it's self-learning. Like, you don't know what you don't know, right? Until you know it. And the way to do that is to go, what am I missing in my life? And what is it I need to learn? So, what you need to do is you need to go to coaches or to people to learn those things, either by book studies, by programs, all those things. And I think COVID, a lot of people were like, I didn't like the way my life was. I didn't like what was happening in my life. So I'm recreating it. And so that's why all that stuff started happening is people were realizing how dependent they were on the system.
Yeah.
And when the system crashed, they went, oh, uh-oh, now we got to recalibrate and we have to discover how to do these other things that we've been missing.
Well,
And so
we're vulnerable,
people
and
were
it's like,
cooking at home, home remodeling. If you were a home remodeler at that time, that's when your business skyrocketed, because everybody who had to stay home and quarantine and all that realized that their home was not feasible
right.
to stay
Plus,
home
they had stimmy
every
checks
day.
to, you know,
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
into
And they were
that.
like, I mean, they couldn't keep up with the work. Like, and then they were saying, oh, well, we can't get this countertop because it's on back order because
Because the ships didn't
supplies are
deliver
shut
it,
down.
and which we've
Right. But
already
it was
debunked.
sitting in our terminals over here. It was
Right.
sitting there. Seriously, it was.
It was
So
sitting there.
I
Yeah.
know this because I talked to somebody in cabinet making. So it was
Ah.
sitting in a container, ship container over here, and they just shut down the whole inspection process.
Yeah.
So
So I
they
think
knew how to
people
do it.
people looked inside and they said, okay, I'm vulnerable to a catastrophe or to something like that, and I don't like this feeling. What can I do so when the next one comes along to deal with it better, maybe? And so people started to study, look inside, and for me as a life coach, that's good. I think that's part of it is to like take a break, and we were
It was
forced to take a break,
introspection.
look inside, figure out who am I, how do I react, what do I do, and what do I want to do that might be different in the future, and then try to apply that. And I think that's always a good
Yeah.
thing. We were
So
forced to like
let's
take a time out.
yeah. So let's bring it back around. We're talking about presidential immunity. What about your personal immunity? What
Mm,
about your personal immunity? And so he gets immunity. What immunities do we get?
interesting.
What immunities do we get? Like that's the thing, is you need to create your life in a way that you're not dependent on these other things. You have to create your life to where you're not dependent on all the systems, because, so what is your personal immunity? You know, that is where we need to create our life in a way that it's not dependent on those things. It's really funny. So many people rediscovered how to cook at that time, if you recall. Like, the grocery stores were insane because everybody was now buying groceries because they weren't eating out.
Right.
The people that had Door Dashes and all that. Now, of course, they incorporated DoorDash back into it, at some
Hmm.
point the restaurants opened back up, which I was glad for. I mean, don't get me wrong. I commend anybody that runs a restaurant or a food truck or anything like that. A friend of mine, she was getting ready to launch her food truck. And then, yeah, it would have been good if she had already done it.
Right.
Then she could have been, too bad they didn't have food trucks just going down the street like the ice cream truck, right?
Yeah, and just
So
flip the food out there. But I mean, the
ding
food
ding ding
trucks,
ding.
if they could convert it to DoorDash, a lot of them did. They call it pop up kitchens or whatever, and it was just
That's
mostly
right.
DoorDash. But they would cook up the food, and so yeah, there's lots of different
Right.
ways. So yeah, personal immunity, I
But
really like
see,
that. Take time out and like figure out like what do I stand for? It's like what am I gonna, how am I gonna be judged? Who's gonna judge me? And how am I gonna deal with that?
well, we do. I mean, if COVID didn't teach you, I mean, COVID taught us where our weaknesses were. That's for sure. It definitely showed the cracks in the system And it definitely showed where they were trying to insert the power and control. So now we know, like, now we're aware
They're
of what
gearing up
you
for
are
the next one.
controlling.
They are gearing up for
Oh,
the next one
it's
already. The,
insane.
is the
And
bird
so,
flu? Do you think that's the next
so
one?
what? I don't think so. I think it's
No.
gonna. I think it's called something else.
Yeah,
I've
but it's
already heard
coming.
the name of it. I can't remember what it is right now, but there is a name for it. But so be ready. But this time you can be ready. Like, you know what? Go buy your toilet paper now.
And
Go
make
get your
sure
paper towels and your toilet paper.
if you don't,
You know,
you might have to fight
go to
Sandy.
Costco,
If
go
you
to
have to
Sam's
fight
Club.
Sandy, you're gonna lose.
You're
So
gonna have to fight me. You know, even if you have a cane, I can beat you
yeah, yeah,
with my charm, not with any force. I was really nice about it. I was like, please,
charming, so
may I have
charming.
two? He was like, okay.
Okay.
He gave in.
I just saw
He
some
wasn't
clips. I
totally.
saw clips of that of those people fighting over stuff. Just I don't know what it was, but just
Well,
reminded me
when
of those
people
days.
think that their supply and demand are threatened, that is when we go into survival mode. That is when we go into fight or flight. Okay. So those people were in the fight mode, and some, yeah, they were in the fight mode.
Right.
And so you better, stock up on your things. I mean, honestly, always have a couple weeks of something in your pantry or whatever, just in case. I mean, I do. I mean, I'm not a prepper by any means, but I definitely am a survivalist, which says, okay, I better have some things on
Yeah.
hand just in case. Like cans of tuna are priceless. Like to me,
Yeah.
tuna is the tuna and chicken and those canned meats.
They have, so I've been looking into, I call it kind of mini prepping, like for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month max. And they've really come a long way with the science in those, I don't know, freeze dried foods or whatever they are.
Yep,
They taste better. They can last longer, multiple years now, and they're much more nutritious now. So I mean, it's all
right,
marketing thing, but yeah, I mean, you know, cans of tuna aren't too bad, but a lot of cans of things take up a lot
right.
of space. So you can get these. It's going to cost you. These things aren't cheap. These whatever meals for
Right. Because
prepping.
if you think about it, if you have to leave your home and go somewhere, like say,
Right.
there's some imminent danger in your
I can just
home,
see you
you
with your
can't
bags of
carry all
tuna,
that stuff.
cans of tuna spilling out of your bag. It's like,
They make them in envelopes
oh,
now,
that's right. They
little
make them in little envelopes. Yeah,
envelopes.
I have some of those.
I'm saying, I got some of them. Just saying, have your protein on hand.
Well,
Have some protein powder.
it might look like this. Uh-oh. We better watch out.
Yeah,
We have the big bomb, the big
yeah.
truth bomb.
I think we went over a little, haven't we?
Yeah, we're kind of rambling. We're rambling
We're
on.
rambling on.
Well, folks,
Yep.
let's end it there. Like we've really
So
covered a
yeah,
lot. We covered a lot today.
you know,
I
if you
don't
want to
know if there's
ramble
some
on.
truth bombs in there somewhere, but as we always say, it's like we're not the arbiters of the truth. We're just going to bring up things that are interesting to discuss.
I'm bringing
And
it up because I want you to see both sides. That's all. It just makes me crazy to listen to mainstream as if this is only Donald Trump's immunity
right,
situation. No, they are ruling on something that goes forward for all presidents.
yeah,
And back, just think about that. So,
yeah. If you're alive and you're a president, you better watch out. I mean, like Kennedy and George Washington now, you know, they're done. Maybe we
George
can
Washington.
attack their
Poor
estates
George.
somehow. Poor George.
Oh no. Oh, don't say that.
Huh? I don't know. Kennedy's.
One of
We
those
could
letter one
go
of
back.
them letter agencies might show up at your door.
Right. All right, folks. Have a good day. Have a good week. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Make sure and spread the
Yes,
news.
please.
And also check out all our other content on the YouTube channel. We'll see you
Yep.
next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.